Hello and welcome everybody to another War of the Ring game. This is not a tournament game, but it is a really fun game that I'm excited to share with you. It's not a Return of the King game either, although it sure does look like it, doesn't it? With Fear Fire Foes and this starting role. So I start off by passing. I'm playing Jaymanen. They're my opponent for the League Dwarf, which is just a tiered league setup you can play where you face off against each other twice. This is our second game. The first one was mostly unremarkable. I've had a really bad start to the year in League, so it's very important that I win a lot of these League games because there is delegation, and I would like to get up to League Elf. So I'm definitely coming into it. There's some stakes. It's not as high as the tourney, though. They get Isengard, and yeah, I'm sending them out. You could just move and play it safe here, 2 eyes, but I'm not a coward. I want to have fun, so we're going to send Aragorn and Boromir down. I have a House of the Stewards, so perfect for Boromir, and then I send Merry out to play Fear Fire Foes. They're getting nice and ready. I'm moving along. I play Fear Fire Foes. The North is at war. What a beautiful turn 1 play. They're getting ready. Gondor is in danger. And I crown Aragorn, and they get Saruman. So, pretty standard turn 1 in terms of crowning Aragorn. Now, we move on to turn 2. I get Horn of Gondor. Mighty Attack is very useful in these kinds of games. And Tom Bombadil is whatever. I just muster an Elite and Dale. I like getting the North a little bit mustered, even though it's starting to look like they're focusing on the South. They get Sauron to war, they move out, and I use Boromir's ability to muster Gondor, so that is another reason to bring Boromir. This will help prepare Gondor, kind of stymie their attack on Minas Tirith. I could play a card like Bombadil or House of the Stewards, but I am deciding instead to prep Gondor, which is reasonable. They play half-orcs, they get nice and ready in Emerald Dale, and I'm moving, and I'm safe, which is nice. They get Lorien under siege. Pretty understocked army in Lorien with the Witch King, but they have Shadows Gather. So it was a somewhat fancy play. They could have just gotten into Moria in the first place, but now they have a really nice army in Lorien. And I've been skipping through really quickly, but I have just been going crazy mustering the North. My thinking is these guys will eventually be useful to me, so I'm going to get them going. Now, maybe it would be better to just get Gondor to war and start mustering them up, but I figure with House of the Stewards, I'm going to get Dol Amroth protected anyway, and I am happy to just create a big threat up north that I can use at some point. I get Weaver the Swifter and Riders of Theoden. They get their cards, and they roll this, and I roll this. So I'm probably going to be moving once. It's a good turn to play House of the Stewards. Happy I kept that, because I certainly don't want to move 3 times. And they have a nice roll to just get a lot of attacks going. So I start with House of the Stewards. I would like to draw Power Too Great, Celebnorns, Faramir's, Guards, rah, what have you. I get Spirit of Mordor and threw it in a Night, which is fine. They just drop Fighting Uruk-hai and blow up Lorien. Now, it takes them a number of presses. Neither of us hit very well, to be honest. But this certainly works out better for me, and they press, and at the end of the day, they fail to take down Lorien, which is certainly unlikely. It definitely looks like they would be able to with Fighting Uruk-hai and an 8-2. But, Lorien can do this sometimes. It's a 1-2-1 is a pretty tough stronghold, and they're going to get it eventually. And they got plenty of time. I'm moving very slowly, so they don't necessarily need to rush. As long as this army sustains itself, they're going to be doing okay. I try Spirit of Mordor. This might be a little bit too hopeful, because if I can get, 3 hits, then this might break the Siege of Lorien. But I only get 1, and, 1.5 is expected, so it was probably a waste of a die. They attack Lorien, they fail to finish it off, but they play a card, and now they finish it off. So Lorien's done for. They're left with a pretty small army, and the elves are at war, and we're going to both go on with our games. They're moving around towards Minas Tirith. I could right now use Boromir to muster Minas Tirith ones towards war, and then muster in Minas Tirith. But I think I want to move. They get closer, and I hybrid move. And I want to prepare Rohan too, so I think that's another part of my thinking. They draw a card, and I play We Approve the Swifter. So, yes, I could have done that with Gondor, but then I wouldn't get to play We Approve the Swifter and get Aragorn over to Eastamnet, where he is much more useful than being stuck in Dol Amroth. Boromir can hold Dol Amroth. Aragorn has things to do. They move Nazgul, so they're getting nice and ready to attack Minas Tirith. I get the red arrow, which is pretty nice, an elven rope. They roll a number of eyes, and I get this. And you'll notice last turn I did not... They are thinking, and they muster up, so they're playing it very cautiously. They moved into Moria, so they're really playing against a military victory. They're really worried about that. With the North to War, it's understandable. I tend to think that these guys to Moria was a bit slow. Maybe they could have prepared an Umbar instead, but it's not the end of the world. And you'll notice last turn, I did not move twice. I am extremely cautious about that move into Moria. I would really like this to be a safe move where I don't get revealed. And if I can get past Moria safely, then everything's good. I'm probably fine even having separated 6 corruption from the Fellowship. I'm just going to continue on. Unfortunately, despite my caution, I am hit and revealed. So that is the worst thing that could possibly happen. A 1 reveal, and Gandalf dies. They start mustering. I hide, so I don't get to go through Moria. I have to go the long way. This is going to be a bit painful. And they play Isildur's Bane, and they get a 2 reveal, so that is also incredibly painful. If that had been an eye, it would have been fine. Even a 2... Even like one of these tiles would be good. At least these wouldn't reveal me. But this is pretty much the worst tile they could have drawn from my perspective. Because, you know, a 3 would be bad, and this is bad because it's 2 straight corruption and it reveals me. I play the red arrow. So I'm getting Rohan pretty ready. They get the Southlands and Easterlings, which forces me to get Gandalf, because of Day Without Dawn. He goes in Fangorn. He should go in Fangorn. I already have a Hobbit over here. They're getting ready, and I muster Rohan to war. And I think this is a mistake. I think, given how everything is like, I should either muster Gondor, maybe with the token, in preparation for Corsairs, or I could just move everybody into Helm's Deep. They're relatively safe in Helm's Deep, and it's fine. Mustering Rohan doesn't really accomplish much, because they can just go to Eastamnet. And now that they're in Eastamnet, they can just attack into Westamnet, and it doesn't matter that they're at war. I use a token to get Gondor now, and I think this makes sense. Maybe I should have done it sooner, because this allows me to muster an elite in Dol Amroth and stave off Corsairs. I get Faramir's now, and I have some nice blue tiles going on. They get a lot of eyes, and I roll this roll. I muster in Dol Amroth, so no Corsairs for you. Dol Amroth is not going to be a free stronghold. They attack Westamnet. They play no card. I try Confusion. And I guess my thinking is I'm going to try and deal some damage to them and make it so Rohan isn't such a gimme. But unfortunately, they just deal 3 hits, and I deal 1 damage, and that was not effective. It probably would be better to save through a day and a night. It is an extremely powerful card, but that's what I decided to do. And then I muster in Helm's Deep. I could move these guys into Helm's Deep, but the difference is pretty negligible. They're probably going to be able to take it out in 1 attack anyway. So I just want to slow them down and get more pieces on the board. They attack Helm's Deep. I play Riders of Theoden now. So this is my plan. They abandon Lorien. Now, as long as they don't have Oleg High, and they can't play half orcs because they already played it in Moria earlier, I'm going to be able to retake Lorien with Mighty Attack. they just finish off Helm's Deep. So we're trading Helm's Deep for Lorien. And unfortunately, they get 3 hits. Very interesting that they use Cruel Weather here, but I suppose it's a long game and they don't know when they're going to be able to play it, so they'd rather just move their military along, and it does get them 2 hits. I only get 1 back, so Rohan was pretty pathetic. It has not been very effective, and they took Helm's Deep easily, and yeah, I'm pretty sad. I move into Parth Celebron. They play Shadows in the Misty Mountains, so they're getting ready to retake Lorien after I retake it. I besiege Lorien, they muster in Moria, and I attack Lorien. They try playing Words of Power, but unfortunately they can't because there's no Nazgul. So Aragorn still gets to do his thing. And Lorien falls. It is my first stronghold recaptured this game by Aragorn, so good job, Aragorn. And, you know, what do I think of this turn? I didn't move, so that's not good. On the other hand, they had 4 eyes, so I wasn't really in a hurry to move a bunch. Would have been nice to hide. I basically traded Helm's Deep for Lorien, which I don't know how good of a trade that was. But I think I lost Helm's Deep due to mistakes I made last turn. I think realistically speaking, if I had hybrid and they had done this, then I could just be in a much better position right now. But I made a mistake, and this was a good play. Riders of Theoden and Eastonet marching with Aragorn. You don't get to see that very often. And now I'm going to be annoying, and I'm going to be able to muster a little bit in Lorien. And the game goes on. I get an Ent, a little late. That would have been great in Helm's Deep. I muster an elite in Lorien, and my thinking is now, okay, they're going to march out to Dimmerl Dale. I'm going to run away with Aragorn. They're going to besiege Lorien. It's probably going to be hard to get in 1 attack, so this is going to eat up some time. But they decide instead to play this much slower. So they play a New Powers Rising, and they get big armies going, and that gives me more time to muster. So I muster. I only put a regular here. At this point, I have 2 regulars in my casualties, so I'm not worried about that. And I want to preserve my Elven Force Pool as much as possible. So I get an irregular here and a regular in Edoras. Maybe try and fight in Rohan. They attack Fords of Isen now from Orthanc. So they are preparing their armies. I can kind of see their plan. They're going to merge up these 2 armies together in Orthanc and Helm's Deep. It can go crush Lorien then, or maybe Minas Tirith. And life's going to be pretty good for Shadow, despite this little snafu. I play my scouts, and what I am doing here is these guys now can potentially march into Lorien, and then I have a really nice, fully stocked stronghold with minimal investment from the Elven Force Pool. I move companions, and I think I make a big mistake putting Gandalf in Minas Tirith, and I realize this later, but Minas Tirith is a big target, and Gandalf probably can't hold it. You know, they have 3 wargs right nearby, they have a lot of HP. It seems like a bad idea. So they're mustering up. I hide. I want to move now. They play Worn with Sorrow and Toil. Very nice. Then I move, and I'm missed. They attack Edoras, and they get to play... I play Ents. I want this army to survive and be annoying. But they get a hit. I get a hit. And then in the post, they get 2 hits from We Come to Kill. So... Rohan really did quite poorly. I'm pretty disappointed in them. They're moving out, and I just move again because they only hit me on 5s. So I'm trying to move carefully. I'm doing a lot of shenanigans with the companions, and my strategy is just going to be move carefully. You know, maybe move a few times when there's 1 eye, but then otherwise move once a turn, and avoid racking up a lot of corruption. And I get missed. But then they play Candles of Corpses and get 2 hits. So already corruption is starting to look pretty scary. You know, that was a good card for them to have. It's especially unfortunate because I'm about to go to Carrick where they couldn't play that on me. And now I'm at 4 natural corruption, and I have a long way to go to Mordor. I get Power 2 Great, which is pretty great. Maybe 2 great, even. I declare in Carrick because it is a free people settlement, they cannot play certain character cards on me, although they already hit me with 2 of the worst ones in Isildur and Candles of Corpses. And I'm ready to go. They get a few eyes. I get this roll. Perfectly fine roll, ultimately. There's stuff I can do with all these dice. But that is the nature of having 6 dice and companions on the board. Usually there's stuff you can do with any dice combination. So now I'm moving these guys to Parth Celebrant. They're eventually going to move into Lorien. These guys are going to eventually move into Rivendell. So I am preparing for a long game. I'm using non-elven units to defend elven strongholds so that the elves have more staying power. They're getting nice and ready. I complete my moves. And they are moving down. So they have a big force bearing down on Minas Tirith. They have a big force bearing down on Lorien. I delayed them, but they just built right back up. And this is what Shadow can do. You know, I think as Shadow, you can't prevent all free people tricks in these kind of games. But if you just keep pushing and you build back up, you can continue to make progress. I move my companions. Aragorn was accidentally brought along, so I move him back to Eastamnet. And I run away with Gandalf. So this is just a big waste. I shouldn't have put Gandalf in Minas Tirith. With 3 wargs bearing down on it, he is dead if he stays there, and I do not want to lose Gandalf. So I have him run away to Dol Amroth. It's a pretty good place for him to hold. Even if they have Corsairs, I think that this is going to hold for a long time. I still have Imrahil in the deck. I still have Círdan's in the deck. And they already have a companion there to Heroic Death, so... And the wargs are far away, so this is a very safe place for Gandalf. Aragorn should be here for Dead Men. He had his fun, but I don't want him trapped in a stronghold either. So ultimately, it was kind of a waste of a character die to do what I did. To move him into Minas Tirith. They besiege Lorien, and I drop Power to Great now. I just don't want them to suddenly hit me with a card that attacks Lorien. I want to get my full value out of Power to Great. I wasn't going to besiege more anyway, so there was no point playing that before they went under siege. And they have to draw a card, so they must not have a strategy card. So I'm pretty happy. I play Faramir's. I think about how I want to do it, and I end up just putting a regular with the logic that these guys aren't going to get to go under siege anyway, and I want to save my elites for like guards and Imrahil and later mustering from Dead Men. And I get 0 hits, which is a little sad. They attack Minas Tirith, and I move the Fellowship. So yeah, I'm trying to move slowly and cautiously, a little bit at a time. And they hit me, and it's a 3, so I take Legolas. And now things are starting to look real bad. I have 3 corruption worth of companions in the Fellowship. I have 5 corruption. I still have a long way to go. This is not good. At this point, I'm starting to think about stopping to heal. I have a little bit of time just because of all of my shenanigans. So I am probably going to do that if I can. They try and attack Lorien, but I have Power too great, so instead they attack Osgiliath, and they get a hit, I get a hit, and I retreat to Pelargir. So at least Pelargir can put up a decent resistance. I can muster again in there. It's not too bad. I get guards, which is quite nice. And they get 5 eyes, so I have a significant advantage on them. Here's a question. Is it too early to do a rush? I could potentially muster an elite, or maybe 2 leaders, merge these guys up, and go run for Dol Guldur. I could probably take it. I wonder if that is the best decision here. I play File, okay. And then I play Smeagol, so I am not doing that. I am playing this much more slowly and carefully. I wonder, that would be a really interesting moment in this game. They don't have any musters. They could have orcs multiplying again, or Pits of Mordor. But these guys, get 2 leadership and rush them. They could certainly take Dol Guldur. And if I take Dol Guldur, yeah, I don't know. Instead, I'm just mustering up. They attack Pelargir. They get 2 hits. I get 1. I get 2. I was really hoping for more of these guys to survive, because then they can be annoying, but they don't. I'm continuing to muster, so I am biding my time. I don't know, against 5 eyes, that might have been a good time to go for Dol Guldur. So maybe a missed opportunity. Who's to say? They move into Moria and Minas Morgul. I muster again in Dale, so I'm getting really ready. And I move the Fellowship. So I have been waiting. I was fortunate that I have more dice than them. I'm waiting for my last move. I don't want them to hit me with Nazgul Search or Nazgul Strike. I'm going to move. There's a little better than a 50% chance I'll get hit. A little better 50% chance that I'll get revealed if I get hit. Collectively, it's maybe around 30% chance that I'll get revealed. So I'm just hoping for that 70%. This is a really big move, and I get revealed. So, like with the Moria move, I get revealed at the worst possible time, and I'm annoyed at that. And what do you do here? I could move along, could move to Northern Ravanian, and just keep going. That is an option. Or I can do what I did, which is going to Withered Heath. Maybe this is crazy. This might be bad play. I don't know. My thinking is, I go to 6 Corruption. My thinking is, if I go to Northern Ravanian, I'm going to be at 6, or maybe I take a random, maybe I hit Gimli, and then I still have 1, 2, 3, 4 moves to Mordor, and the Fellowship is just beat to hell and back. They're gonna cover me with Nazgul the whole way down, and I'm gonna get probably draw 3 more tiles or thereabouts. And they have more cards they could play. They still haven't hit me with Mortal Wound or Lure or Breaking. So I decide to go to Withered Heath. I'm going to make sure I can heal the Fellowship. And it's such a shame I got revealed here, because if I didn't, I would go into Dale, and then I would be able to get rid of Ormstar and Toil. I'd probably heal for 2 or so turns, and then be on my way. And maybe that's a reason I didn't go for the military plan, because if I had abandoned Dale and rushed Dol Guldur, then they would have been able to sit on Dale and prevent me from healing. And I'd have to go to Woodland Realm, which takes up 2... which eats up 2 movement rather than 1. I don't know. This is a wild decision. Would you make this decision? I don't know. I still don't know if I would if I played this game again. We get these rolls. Really good roll, as long as they don't have Day Without Dawn. They're mustering up, and I will go alone. I dump the Fellowship, so I'm hard committing to this. I'm going to heal, goddammit. I'm going to heal an Erebor or Woodland Realm, doesn't really matter to me. And I'm sending out the Fellowship so that if I hit a 0 reveal, it does not reveal me. They're getting ready in Minas Tirith. They're just going to bash down these strongholds. You know, they have giant armies here. They have reinforcements nearby. They can take Lorien, take Minas Tirith. That brings them up to 8 points. And then they just need 2 more. And it's difficult to find their last 2, but they're going to find it eventually. Shadow can just muster 8 elites if it really wants to. I move into Osgiliath to be annoying. They abandon the spot, so I might as well take one of the more important places on the map. And I move into Old Forest Road. I have a plan forming in my head at this point, but it's not really completely formalized for what to do with these guys. They muster in Dol Guldur, so they are being cautious about the military threat, which is fair. Right now, the Fellowship is forever away from Mordor and corrupted to hell and back, so they should be preparing for military. I muster more. They attack Minas Tirith. It's advantageous position. They get 2 hits, 1... They're pressing, playing a desperate battle. They get 2 hits again, and I only get 1. And they press a 3rd time, and they just get 2 hits again. So I say way too easy, and it is. I was really hoping to kill some of these wargs because they are really annoying. They can potentially cancel Gandalf or what have you. Minas Tirith was highly likely to fall. Maybe it was worth playing Guards of the Citadel. I guess I was just saving my resources because I'm like, it's not going to save Minas Tirith anyway. But I don't know. Maybe it would have been better. But I draw a character card. It's Athelos. Okay, that's a useful card. They move up to Lorien. I asked them to get rid of Power 2 Great first because I'm not 100% sure if you can move Nazgul in with Power 2 Great in play. Somebody can correct me if I'm wrong. And I move now. I changed up the turn order with the token, but now they got rid of their last character card and they don't have any rings, so I'm just going to move now and hope I don't get revealed. And I get hit less than 50%, and it's a 3, which is a horrible tile because I have to just eat all of it, or else I have to reveal in stupid Northern Mirkwood, which is just even worse place to be. So I just take 3 corruption and go up to 8. So this is not going well. I play Elven Rope, and we're moving on to next turn. I get Kieran's, which is at least useful, and I reveal. So I've healed 1 in Woodland Realm. At this point, though, they're at 6. Lorien, maybe it won't fall in 1 attack, but they have reinforcements, so they can get it eventually. I have this big army, but a big army isn't points, right? I need to find a way to extend the game when Shadow's going to be at 8 points very shortly. I get a beautiful roll, to be fair. Like, this is a wonderful roll for me to have. I use it, I think about it, and I get my guys ready. So I'm moving into Druidian Forest. I guess my thinking is, if they're worried about scouts, maybe they won't attack me. And if they don't attack me, I can attack into Fold and do a bunch of shenanigans. But they attack me, and they just finish me off. I'm mustering and getting ready. They play Ringwraiths Abroad. Nope. They kill Power 2 Great first. That makes sense. I'm mustering. They play Ringwraiths Abroad. And they're going for Dale. And they just wipe it out. I'm annoyed by that too. So they get 2 hits and wipe out Dale. And I am preparing. I got this massive army here. It's still somewhat tied down to Woodland Realm. I'm probably going to want to muster here one more time so they can't just take it. But these guys are clearly going to do something. I have to try, right? Despite how hopeless this seems right now, I can't just give up. So they attack Lorien. I play my charge. I miss. They get 0 hits, and I get 4, so that is quite lucky. And they stop. So Lorien is probably going to need reinforcements. That was a very good round of combat for me. I did have a 3-2-2, so Lorien was pretty well stocked. I don't know exactly what the odds are in the siege and how it goes down, but I did everything I could to prepare it. And at this point, I muster another elite in Woodland Realm because I want this army to be able to go out and do something. And so I'm going to have Woodland Realm nice and ready to go. They think about it. They prepare against Path of the Wozes. I think they're hanging this army back in case of dead men, which is wise. And I move out. I move towards Dol Guldur, so I'm threatening military stuff now that they gave up their hybrid. And I'm moving to Weather Hills because from Weathertop, I can eventually reach Rivendell, and I'm probably going to get a bunch of spare hybrid moves, and I need to have something useful to do with them. So why not just walk this guy into Rivendell and reinforce it? And they move north. So I think that they are starting to play to counter my military victory, which is fair. If I am able to get a military victory, that kind of seems like my best route at this moment. Because, I mean, the Fellowship is just so bad. So bad. I get Help and Look for in Dead Men. Great cards. I could potentially relieve the Siege of Lorien. I can play Dead Men and buy a bunch of time. Right now, there's a giant army outside of Pelargir that has something to say about that, but we'll see how the game progresses. I've now healed twice in Woodland Realm. They get 2 extra eyes. They're still allocating eyes. I guess I'm in some possibility in beginning a bunch of movement. I don't know how much I agree with that, just given how corrupted I am. But they're trying to play against all of my outs. And one of my outs is they just roll 0 eyes and I move 5 times in the Mordor. Which is crazy, but it could happen. I get this roll, and I use a Dwarven Ring to get an extra attack. And I am curious if you can see my plan yet. Take a look at the board. Take a look at the board position. At this point, it's turn 11. I'm still healing in Woodland Realm. Why am I moving down with these guys? I know by this point I have my plan. And it's kind of a crazy one. But we're going to see it unfold. I attack Dol Guldur, don't want them mustering. They think about what to do. And they just move their Nazgul around. So they put a guy in Dol Guldur, so he's ready to go. Wait, what did they do? Oh, no. They think about it, then they undo, they let me do my move again, and then they just decide to draw a strategy card. So they're waiting to see what they get. Maybe they'll get High or something, or Orcs multiplying again. And I move south. My target is not Dol Guldur. I could take it. I could probably take it. You know, I have charge, I have brave stand, I have, I guess, no quarter. So I could probably take Dol Guldur, but it would exhaust this army. And then where are my other 2 points? And can I really defend while going for 2 more points with like Rivendell or something? I don't think so. So these guys are going to go south. And you might see what I'm doing now. They play King is Revealed, which is a great card, but now I move into East of them. And the army links back up with Aragorn. So they have a billion leadership now, and this big army in the north wasn't doing anything for me. Like, these strongholds can defend themselves. But these strongholds are wide open. And they don't have an easy way of defending all of them. Depending on what they do, I'm either going to go for Minas Tirith or Helm's Deep. And if they find a way to defend all of them, I'm going to relieve the Siege of Lorien. So these guys, it is so important when you are stopping to heal to find useful things to do with your character dice. Because if you don't have useful things to do with your character dice, you're just going to be sitting on your hands and wasting your time. This is pretty useful. They move back, so they are defending against this. And I'm just going to go for Helm's Deep. The Rohirrim still have a pretty decent, a respectable amount of guys to muster left. So I'm going to take Helm's Deep, and I'm going to muster them up, and then we're going to see where it goes from there. They muster an Orthanc. I think that's wise. I think they might be a little concerned about me taking Orthanc, but also this is just useful to recapture Helm's Deep later. I put Helm's Deep under siege, and I use a ring. I don't really have a useful card to play, and I want to just get this done. So I play Anduril, and I get my auto 2 hits. They get 2 back, which is a little annoying. But they have now gone down 2 points. Aragorn has captured his 2nd stronghold, and the army of the north reaches Helm's Deep. It's not discussed in the movie, but the Rohirrim are cousins with the remaining Northmen up in Carrick and Dale. They originate from Rovanian, this area over here, and they ended up migrating south after Gondor granted them Rohan. So basically, the Rohirrim's cousins show up after a new migration and liberate Helm's Deep. So how often do you see the Northmen hanging out in Rohan? I would guess not very often. And Gimli and Aragorn and Pippin are here, and it's just a massive headache for Shadow already. And they get ready to try and contain it. I get Thranduil, it's fine. I don't know how many of these cards I'm actually even going to play, but I think I could just chuck Wizard Staff. Yeah, that makes sense. I have now healed 3 in Woodland Realm, and I'm not done with Aragorn. They still are allocating eyes, they get 2 more, and I get this roll. Actually a pretty good roll for me. Last turn I needed a lot of attacks, this turn I needed some musters, so it kind of works out. I'm able to make use of all my dice. I'm mustering up, they're getting ready to contain Rohan. I'm mustering up again. They attack Westamnet. From Fold, get 1 hit, I get 1 hit, and they move in. They now have Helm's Deep surrounded, but I just muster an elite. It's a 6/4. I'm not trapped in here with them. They're trapped in here with me. So they are free to come at Helm's Deep if they really want to. They play Pits of Mordor. Okay. I attack Westamnet now. I want to break out. Clearly, Aragorn needs to go do something. So I am going to move into Westamnet, and I play Brave Stand to try and reduce the amount of damage they can do to me. I get 2 hits, they get 0, so very nice. You can see I leave a decent amount behind. I am going to muster up in Helm's Deep. I'm going to get my last Rohan regular in Helm's Deep, and Helm's Deep is going to hold a while. It's going to be annoying for them to take out. Meanwhile, this army is still large enough to go do something. They attack Dol Guldur just to free themselves. I draw a card. I don't really have anything useful to play. Another Valor is welcome. They play Palantir, and I don't care. I'm not going to get rid of Palantir. They only have 16 cards left between their 2 decks. They're going to draw them eventually anyway. If they want to draw them faster, they are free to do so. I move into Fangorn to threaten Saruman, and they are forced to kind of awkwardly move around to protect him. So I am just trying to waste as much of their time as possible. Now I'm in Fangorn. I'm in position to help and look for Lorien. I could also swing around somewhere else. I get Gwa here and Wisdom of Elrond. I think if I were to discard now, I'd probably get rid of Wisdom of Elrond and Charge. I think the Valors are really helpful. But I get rid of a Valor and Charge. Okay, I guess I want Confusion. I don't know why. I feel like Valor's better. I heal again. So I've now healed 4 points in Woodland Realm. And I muster a little bit in Helm's Deep and Dol Amroth. I want Helm's Deep to have a nice full stack. This is not going to hold indefinitely, but it's going to take a lot of dice. They're going to have to consolidate. I don't even think the guys currently in Rohan can take out Helm's Deep, especially with Ents, so they're probably going to need to bring more. So they're just going to waste a lot of time. They muster an Orthanc. And I move out. So I move out to Westamnet. I'm still threatening Path of the Woses, even though I don't have it. And also, I'm thinking about the situation. While it would be nice to liberate Lorien, I'm not really going to muster any more there anyway. I only have 1 elf left, and they're probably going in Woodland Realm or Rivendell. So, the better target for this army is Minas Tirith. They play many kings, so they're playing out their good mustering cards. They are being very cautious. They're making sure I don't have an easy way to get to 4 points. Now, you'll notice Mordor is pretty open, so that is something I can definitely threaten. I move down into Duradane, and all of these character dice, if I was just sitting on my butt in a stronghold, all these character dice would be horrible for me. There's like nothing I can do with them. But because I have this nice mobile army, I'm able to generate a lot of threats with these character dice that slows down Shadow's military. They think about how they're going to do it, and they move into Osgiliath. And they reinforce Minas Tirith, and I think this is a really good play. Because now, if I attack Minas Tirith, they're going to throw this Osgiliath army at me. Even if I win, which is decent chances, it'll weaken this army a lot, to the point I might not be able to take Minas Tirith, and then these guys can come in after and finish the job. So, right now, I can't go into Minas Tirith. So instead, I move to Dead Marshes. And now I'm threatening to go around them into Mordor. So they have to react to that. And they do. They move like this. So Aragorn is maneuvering around, obstructing Shadow's plans. Look at all these attacks that I'm eating up. But at the same time, what is Shadow supposed to do here? If they just let me move like I want to move, I could potentially get 2 strongholds in Mordor, especially with a bad roll next turn. And even after all of this, they're probably still better off dealing with Aragorn's nonsense, eventually containing him, and I'm still so far away from Mordor. I get a Valor, so yeah, I just attack Osgiliath. They gave it up, so I'm going to clear it out. So I do. And now I'm sitting in Osgiliath, which is a very annoying spot for them to attack. if they were to attack me, they'd have to be very careful. They're only hitting on 6s, and I can deal some damage back. So I'm fine with them attacking me in Osgiliath. I'm not fine with being attacked in Dead Marshes. They think about what they're going to do, and they end up deciding on this. I think this is a good move. Hey, no, is that what they decide? No, they go back. Yeah, they do this. So they have a defense of Mordor now, so I can't just sneak in. And then this army is going to fight me. Fair enough. I play Gwa here, and I move a Hobbit to Fangorn. I think this is a mistake. So the Hobbit to Fangorn is fine, right? Like, it can threaten Ents, whatever. I think the right move here is to move Gandalf to Osgiliath, because Gandalf makes this stack much scarier and more, and tougher. And it might mean I could hold Minas Tirith with Gandalf. So I think that that's a missed opportunity. But they are nonetheless moving out, so they're just containing me. I'm starting, as we go through the turns, they are slowly but surely constricting what I can do to them, but I am slowly but surely healing. So let's see, I get Kindred and Elven Cloaks, they get some cards. I have now healed 5 in Woodland Realm, and we're on to next turn. I only get 2 attacks. Not exactly what I wanted. The big avalanche of attacks that I had is now over, but I was bound to get a turn like this eventually. I play my Elven Cloaks. Fair enough, I want that in the pool. They are just getting ready. Look at this massive army in Lorien. They are now certainly going to be able to take it out. And I draw a card because I've been looking this whole time for Book of Mizarble, and I finally got it. So with Book of Mizarble, I can now get the dwarves to war and have useful uses for all my musters. I do give them the mouth, but I guess I'm deciding it's worth it. They attack Lorien. Advantageous position against Relentless Assault. They choose to take 2 and get 4 5s. So very good that they chose to take 2 hits. Relentless Assault gives them 4 hits. And now Lorien is pretty much done. I get 3 back, but they drop a Deadly Strife. I drop Confusion. I do get a nice amount of parting hits, but they're done. Fair enough. Lorien did a really good job. It held out for a long time. It ate up a lot of attacks and musters. Now these guys are all going to combine to take out Helm's Deep, so I still need to retake Minas Tirith. I play Book of Mizarble now, and this is interesting. I am fleeing with Aragorn, and my thinking is I'm going to attack Minas Tirith, and then I'm going to take Minas Tirith with no quarter. They are going to follow up into Osgiliath and then attack me in Minas Tirith. I do not want Aragorn to be under siege. I want him to be hanging out in Eastamnet where he can play Deadman. So, I'm getting out of here before doing this. And again, I feel like if I get Gandalf to Osgiliath, they could hold out a long time in Minas Tirith, and it's just really good. They play Horde from the east. I muster up an Erebor. I don't want to give them an easy Erebor. That's another stronghold they could target. They're mustering up. They play on they went, and I attack Minas Tirith. So Minas Tirith under siege, and just like I predicted, they're moving into Osgiliath, so I better hurry. I take it out with no quarter, and I get my 6. So Minas Tirith went pretty well. They get 1 hit back. And now I have a 2-3-2 with Gimli defending Minas Tirith. And that's where, again, I'm just like, you know, with Gandalf, that probably holds for a long time. But that's still a really, really strong defense of Minas Tirith. So Minas Tirith might not even be their easiest target anymore. They might have more luck going for, like, Rivendell or something. But they still besiege Minas Tirith, which I think is right because they're getting their army in. And this defense of Minas Tirith is entirely composed of Rohirrim and Northmen. There's not a Gondorian in sight. And the Gondor Force Pool is actually, somewhat ironically, one of my least mustered Force Pool. It is now turn 14, and there's still a lot of Gondor left, so dead men can be pretty effective. I get axe and bow, whatever. I heal again, so now I have healed 6 in Woodland Realm. And Fellowship's okay. They're still advocating eyes. And I move. So the name of the game has changed. I did all of this. I moved around into Golder. I I skirmished with them. I did a lot of maneuvers. It was a true war maneuver over in Gondor, and I managed to get Minas Tirith as a result of it. But now I'm done. My armies are not attacking anywhere anymore. So I healed to 2. It's the best I'm going to get. It's certainly better than how it was in Northern Ravanian. I'm going to run. I'm going to run as fast as I can, and they're eventually going to squeeze me out of all my remaining strongholds. So I want to get to Mordor before that happens. I move and I'm safe. And I muster again. I get some leadership with the dwarves. I move again, and I'm hit this time for a reveal, so that's unfortunate. They get ready, I hide, they move on to the Fellowship, and I move a third time. I want to avoid reveals on me, and, you know, they can deal a lot of damage to me as they go, but I have Gollum, so I can at least hide, reveal to things. And one thing I've noted is that I still have Mithril Coat, Bilbo's Song, and There Is Another Way in the deck. They're in my last 8 cards. So those cards will help me immensely, and even though it's turn 15 and I still haven't reached them, I know I'm going to get them eventually. So I move and I'm hit, but it's just a 0 reveal, which doesn't matter with Gollum. They're building up a massive army. So I think my opponent is playing this really well. They are preparing for to take back the points they lost. And even though I did all of this, it's true that eventually Free People runs out of things to do. I get my last leader in minutes in Helm's Deep. I might as well. And I get another guy in Erebor. They're attacking me. I play Daylight, which does a pretty good job. And I actually get 4 hits against them, against their 1. So really good job from Daylight. And they might need to reinforce it again. Who knows? So Helm's Deep's going pretty well. There's Bilbo's Song. Pretty happy to see that. I reveal into Southern Ravanian, so they don't have any rerolls on me. And they discard, and I roll this, so I'm moving, and I'm safe. They get their rerolls on me. I move again, and I'm hit, and it's a 1. There's maybe an argument to reveal here. I kind of want to save my rings, but maybe here I just need to reveal. I choose not to. I just get up to 4 corruption, and it feels like it's not going to be that bad. I'm going to move again. I'm unlikely to get revealed into Mordor. Well, maybe not that unlikely, but reasonably unlikely. And I'm going to get into Mordor. They already played Cruel Weather, and life is going to go on. But they play Orc Patrol and get a 2, so that's pretty huge. Maybe I should have revealed to that. So now corruption is again taking up. I have been running really quickly, but to eat all those tiles, and especially the Orc Patrol, is really unfortunate. I move, and I'm hit, and I'm revealed in, so that sucks. But at the very least, I draw an eye. So it wasn't the best run into Mordor. Certainly could have gone better, but it could have gone worse too. And now I'm sitting at 7 corruption, which is really high. But, I feel like I'm still better off than if I'd rushed originally. And I've bought myself a lot of time, and I finally have good character cards. It's going to be a big hunt pool. So this is going to be a swingy endgame. I play Bilbo's Song, so I'm down to 5. They attack Helm's Deep. I play Shield Wall, which doesn't actually do anything because they miss. So that's great, but then I miss, and they get 3 on their onslaught, so it worked out well for them in the end. And they press, and they take it out. So Helm's Deep went okay for me, but they got it in the end, so it doesn't really matter. I'm passing. They get the mouth now. They could have gotten him several turns ago, but I think it just slipped their mind. And we're now in turn 16. I don't blame my opponent at all for not thinking of the mouth in a game like this. Like, we're well past the 1 hour mark. This game is exhausting and crazy. I get my last Northerner in the Shire. I'm just clearing out my force pool. I might as well use it. And they look to be going for Woodland Realm, so I just put the last elite here. They might go for Rivendell instead, but they have way more forces near Woodland Realm. So that's my last Elven elite. And they play their last red tile, so we have all the blue tiles and all the red tiles in the pool. I would really like Mithril. That would help a lot. I draw into Challenge of the King and a Shield Wall. and they get an eye. They roll a bunch, actually, which is pretty good for them. They start mustering up. Yeah, I think it's very reasonable. They want a new stack. Even after taking Minas Tirith, they're going to need to at least get Shire. So they're not done quite yet. I play Dead Men. They don't have anyone near Pelargir. I want to use my musters in Gondor. And yeah, let's get some guys down here. It seems like the right time. They play Black Captain Commands. They attack Minas Tirith. I play Axe and Bow, but it is canceled by Foul Stench. So Foul Stench can cancel Mighty Attack. So well played by them. Cancels any companion cards I have. And they get 2 hits, and I get 0 hits. And I play my Shield Wall against their Deadly Strife. This is Corsairs, so they can no longer Corsairs. That's good to know. And their Deadly Strife doesn't actually go that well. They only get 3 hits, and then I am able to reduce that, and then I get 5 hits. So, between those 2 rounds, I think it went about average. Minas Tirith is holding. I mean, it was a big stronghold. The 2/3/2 is huge, so that's not unexpected. And I play Challenge of the King now, so that is a big part of the reason I went to Pelargir. I want to remove eyes from this pool. Eyes are really bad, especially the red eye. So if I can kill some eyes, that would be good for me. And I get 1 eye, so, I consider that a die well spent to kill an eye from the pool. They're mustering up. They're going to need more to take Minas Tirith. I move and I hit the -1, so very, very nice start to Mordor. Cannot complain about that. But they are moving out, and I'm mustering up. I want to be able to hold Pelargir if they attack it, or at least inflict some damage. They move out to Osgiliath. I get ready in Lamedon, and I move North Downs over here. I guess I'm going to go to Rivendell someday. I don't know. They form up in Minas Tirith, and then they continue. They attack Minas Tirith. I play my Heroic Death. They get a hit, so I just kill a leader, and I get a hit, and they play Rage. Yeah, these Relentlesses have been really effective. They get 4 hits from Relentless again, and that is the end of Minas Tirith. So I certainly wanted it to go better. It was a very well-stocked stronghold, but at least it ate up some Shadow Dice, and I deal some hits back, so they're not too... They don't have that many left over. And now I'm going to... I have a new strategy, right? They're going to get to 9 points because they can take Shire pretty easily. But they don't have Corsairs, so they cannot move from Umbar to Dol Amroth. They have to go through Pelargir. So I'm going to get Boromir and Gandalf to go to Pelargir, and they're going to sit there. It's turn 18, by the way. They're going to sit in Pelargir, and it's going to be near impossible to dislodge them. It's going to take so many musters and so many attacks from Shadow to do it safely that it's probably easier for them to just take a stronghold somewhere else. I get a Daylight and a Useless Ents. I'm moving my guys. I think this is a waste. There's no real reason for him to be in Tower Hills. They can just go around him. But I definitely want to do this. I want to get this big hold, and I still have a few musters left that I can make in Pelargir. They very nicely go for South Ered Luin, and I muster in Ered Luin. They get 2 hits, I get 0, so yeah, this guy in Tower Hills wasn't doing anything, and I move into Greyhaven. So I think at some point in this game, I should have mustered another Dwarven Elite in Ered Luin. Then I could have a full stack in Greyhavens. So I think that was a misplay on my part, because now they cover up the dwarves, and this is as big as Greyhavens is ever going to get. I'm out of elves. So yeah, I think one more elf at some point, one more dwarf at some point, or moving this army into Ered Luin could have helped Greyhavens. And my opponent is playing very well. They are identifying where I'm weakest, which is definitely Greyhavens, out of all the strongholds. So they are going to go for that. It's their best path to a win. And I don't know what they have left. They have discarded 3 character cards. This could be Morgul Wounds. Lure, and Breaking, but those three are still out there. They are out of cards. And this is, again, why I didn't care about Palantir Vorthik. They only have one strategy card left in their entire deck. Um, and if I'd been counting at this point, I would realize this will look high, but I have not been counting. Um, and they have one character card with two more to go. So they're going to get all their character cards, and hopefully they discarded some of their good corruption ones. I'm mustering up further in Erebor. There is a potential endgame where they eventually force me out of Pelargir, and then I need to retake Dale. So there's still some use to mustering the dwarves. They go to Old Forest Road, and they attack Woodland Realm, and I move the Fellowship. Moving the Fellowship one per turn, hoping to get a nice tile, and I hit a 0. So very, very, very nice start to Mordor. They besiege Woodland Realm, but it's probably not going to fall anytime soon. That's a huge stack, and the dwarves can still attack if they start going for it. They just draw their character card because they might as well get to it quicker. We are on to the next turn. I get a ton of wills. It's a good thing they use Day Without Dawn in Lorien. And... Oh, I didn't draw my cards, so I'm drawing them now. I get Dine, which is whatever. And I get Mithril Coat, which is exactly what I needed. So I play that right away. They don't have any red tiles they can throw at me. They've played pretty much everything except for the 3+1 corruption when revealed cards. So I still have to play around those. They move into Tower Hills, so they're getting that nice and ready. And I'm buffing up in Pelargir. I'm going to build my army in Pelargir, and this is still a huge force. It's actually funny, I'm not that far off from a military victory here. The only problem is I'm at 9 points, and if I move from Pelargir and they're able to take it, then I lose the game. They attack Greyhaven, so yeah, they correctly identify this as the best possible place to get their last victory points. But because they use the muster die in the mouth, they now have no way to take Pelargir. Osgiliath, they already used Ringwraiths, they already used Black Captains, they already used Corsairs, so I am safe now to move on Minas Tirith. I'm going to have Lossernach move into Minas Tirith, I have a Valor, let's take Minas Tirith, and then whatever happens in Grey Havens, it doesn't matter, the game goes on. They think about it, they move Leadership, and I move the Fellowship, because there's no actual rush to get Minas Tirith, and I want to move once, and I get an eye, which is not good. They think about what they're going to do, and they muster an Elite, and I besiege Minas Tirith, so now I have a 4/4 that's 12 hit points against their 4, so I have, and a Valor, so I have very good odds of taking Minas Tirith. They think about playing Oleg High, but actually decide to save it and play Dreadful Spells in Grey Havens. And I think this is a really great play. For my opponent, they could hold Minas Tirith with just the 4 regulars. It's not particularly likely, but it could happen. What they really need to do is hold Minas Tirith and take Grey Havens. And if you look at these two fights, Grey Havens, I have 6-8 points to their 6-8 points. The much likelier win for them is Grey Haven. The much likelier hold for them is Minas Tirith. Grey Havens is going to be really hard to take down. So they're using all of their dice to maximum effect to try and take out Grey Havens. They're going to play Dreadful Spells, hopefully get 1 to 2 hits, and then they're going to Grond, because that's one of the cards they haven't played yet, and they have a chance to win the game this turn, which is huge. And they get 1 hit. So, yeah, reasonable use of Dreadful Spells. It does mean that now I attack Minas Tirith with my Valor, and I have a chance of killing the mouth. And if I win, I don't have to worry about Grey Havens. I play my Valor, and I only get 1 hit. So that really sucks. And they get 2 back, and then I press... and I completely whiff and they get 2 hits. So now I go down to a 1-3. I've only done 1 damage to them. And although I would like to keep pressing, and I might be able to take Minas Tirith, what I'm thinking is this is probably not going to go that well for them. They're probably going to fail, and then next turn I need to scoot these guys back to Polar Gear to defend it against this army. So, that's what I'm going to do. It really sucks, though, because I had pretty good chances of taking out Minas Tirith, and that obviously would have been huge to have a 4th stronghold liberated. But it didn't go like that. They play Grant, so this is their chance to win. They held in Minas Tirith, they played to their outs, and now they have a real chance. They have 1 more hit point than me, more dice than me, 3 rounds. It's not particularly likely, but it's possible. They play their Dead in Despair. They decided not to play it as breaking. And yeah, I get that. I have Mithril, so, they might just figure that they're not going to get me anyway. But they forfeit 3, and they get 1 hit, and I get 1 hit. So pretty good first round for me. I played Daylight because they have 5 dice, and they won't pretty soon. They get 1 hit still, which is good for them. And I get only 1 hit back, and I'm frustrated. I say, please, Java, because I've just been so low on hits in these 2 combats. But Java does not care what us mortals beg for. And we go to the next round, and they have no card, and I have no card, and they get 2 hits! So, Grey Havens is gonna fall now next turn. This was an unlikely attack, but it was their best hope. Oh, and I get 1 hit. It was their best hope. They still have Olokai, so they're gonna have a 3-1. They should be able to take this out. And that means I have to dunk the ring next turn. In fact, they were pretty close to winning outright this turn. But it was pretty unlikely they were going to get to that. But this is just an example of my opponent playing very, very well. They maximally played to their outs against whatever may come, and it really worked out for them. I get Path of the Woses, so Sudden Strike might be useful there, Brave Stand might be useful there. We get this. I get enough movement to dunk. They have 1 strategy card left. We know it's Olokai. They attack Pelargir, so now they're at 10 points. I move, and it's an I, which is real bad. But I'm not going to use Mithril on it, because it puts me to 11. They have no character cards left in the deck, so no way to play something like Morgul Wound. We know now that Morgul Wound and Lure were discarded. Breaking was not. And I go up to 11 Corruption. And now I draw a card. And this card draw is so important because I had a 50-50 chance at this point of drawing There Is Another Way. It was the second to last card in my deck rather than the last card in my deck. Because I drew There Is Another Way, I'm going to hide and play it, and this 2 does not kill me. And this increases my chances by quite a bit, because 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 out of 11 tiles... No, 1, 2, 3, 4 out of 11 tiles I live against... without There Is Another Way. And, you play Mithril, you have maybe like a 60% chance of winning that. Maybe a little less. With another tile, 5 out of 11, it increases to over 70%. So There Is Another Way. In the end, I drew it at the last possible moment, and it's going to save me. Because now I hide... And there's no real point dragging out the game. I mean, they're going to have at least 1 eye next turn. I Sudden Strike, so maybe I have a chance, but no, they just finish me off. And then I just do it. So now the 2 does not kill me. All of these tiles do not kill me. I have 2 chances to get a good tile. I move, and I draw Elven Cloaks. So that is a turn 20 ring dunk. To finish out the game after a crazy series of ups and downs that I have never quite played out like that before. I'm very curious to hear if you've ever seen the North in Helm's Deep and Minas Tirith. That was pretty crazy. Aragorn liberated 3 strongholds, which is a lot. We made it to turn 20. This is the longest game I've ever played, as I said. And it was pretty exhausting. At the end of the game, when you draw that last tile, at that point, it doesn't matter who wins, almost, because, this has just been such a crazy story that we told together. And you can see the Fruitful Force pool. The only non-leader left I have is 1 Gondor regular. So, maybe I should have mustered him. I could have mustered him. Oh well. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed the game. It was a pretty crazy one, and I'm sure this is going to be a long video. So I will leave it at that. This decision in Withered Heath is a crazy one. I don't know if it was the right one. Obviously, it worked out for me here. But I'm glad I did it, because I got to play an amazing game. I hope you have a great day.